We acknowledge that we were founded on the traditional territory of many nations, including the Haudenosaunee, the Anishinaabe, the Attawandaronk, the Mississauga and Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation, and now live on land that is home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people. We have many representatives working across this land now known as Ontario, and we acknowledge that there are 46 treaties and other agreements that cover the territory. We are grateful to be able to work and live on this land, and thankful to the First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people who have cared for these territories since time immemorial, and who continue to contribute to the strength of Ontario and to all communities across the province. To continue to center reconciliation, we encourage our team, partners, students, and teachers to take time to learn about the lands they are currently on. Visit native-land.ca for more information.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's virtual field trip. I'm happy to announce that it is Local Food Week, and thank you everyone for coming out to celebrate with us. My name is Rachel, and I'm your host from Farm and Food Care Ontario. We would love to see where all of you are tuning in from for today's field trip, so feel free to tag Agscape or Farm and Food Care on social media. We're thrilled to be taking you to visit Summit Station Dairy and Creamery today. They're located just outside of Hamilton. The Lowith family has been in the dairy business for over 77 years. Summit Station Creamery processes milk, cream, and cheese curds, and today the team is making their cheese curds, and they've invited us to come behind the scenes to take a look at the process. Throughout our tour, please put any questions you have into the chat for our host to answer. And we're going to jump right in. We have Jen and Farmer Ben from Summit Station. So we're going to pull them in and let them introduce themselves and start showing us around.
Very, very good. Well, we are so thrilled to be part of Local Food Week with Farm and Food Care. So thank you for joining us. And like was mentioned, please, any questions you have, throw them in the chat box, and we'll get to them after. I'm just going to do a 10-minute introduction of what we were doing today. But today is a great day to come visit us. It is Friday, so it is Cheese Curd Day. We're making about 300 kilograms of fresh cheese curds. But a little bit about the history of the farm and Summit Station. So my family came over as refugees in 1938 to Canada. And they bought this farm in 1947. So like it was said, it's been over about 77 years that the family has been milking cows here. But we just started bottling our own milk and making our own dairy products about 8 months ago now. So this is all relatively new to us, and we're really, really happy to be able to serve local dairy products to the Hamilton community. Today, our day started at about 2:45 a.m. So 2:45 a.m. is when I woke up to come to the farm to get the freshest milk that I could from the farm and bring that over to the processing facility. So we brought over about 3,000 liters of milk. The first thing we have to do when we bring that milk over is it has to be pasteurized. So in order to make any dairy products in Canada, the milk has to be pasteurized before you can start doing anything with that milk. Now, what pasteurization is the process of taking the raw milk, heating it up to a certain temperature, and then cooling it back down as quickly as you possibly can. And that process of heating it up and then cooling it down kills any bacteria that might naturally be in the raw milk. So when we're making cheese, we're heating that milk up to about 73 degrees Celsius, and we only hold it there for about 16 seconds. So it's a very fast process to kill that bacteria that might be in the milk. Once the milk has been pasteurized, we can then bring that milk over to our cheese vat. And so this cheese vat holds 3,000 liters of milk. And we pump all of that pasteurized milk over here into the cheese vat. And one of the first things that we do in that process is we add a bacteria culture to that milk. And I know it seems kind of backwards to say the first thing we do with the milk is heat it and then cool it to kill any bacteria. And then the next thing we do is we add more bacteria to that milk. But there's a difference between good bacteria and bad bacteria. So the culture that we're adding to the milk after it's been pasteurized is a cheddar cheese culture. So it's a bacteria that's going to give the final cheese its flavor. We add that bacteria in, that culture in, and then we stir it and we gently heat it so that that culture can multiply and multiply and multiply in this big vat of milk. So as that culture is multiplying, it's going to give more flavor to that final cheese product. Now, after it's been heated and stirred for a while, the next thing we're going to add is some calcium chloride. Calcium chloride is just a chemical that's going to strengthen those protein bonds in our final cheese curd, make those cheese curds nice and firm and nice and squeaky when they come out of the vat when we're all said and done. Then we're going to add the rennet. Now, the rennet is an enzyme. It is an enzyme that we're adding. Historically, it would have been rennet, which would have been part of the lining of a sheep's stomach. Nowadays, we're using either a microbial enzyme or a plant-based rennet. There's a couple different options that cheesemakers can use. This enzyme that we're adding, that's what's going to get all the protein that's in the milk to start sticking together. And that sticking together of the protein is what's going to make the final cheese. Now, in milk, there's two main categories of proteins. You're going to have a whey protein, and you're going to have a casein protein. And the casein protein themselves, there's different categories, but for our purposes, there's two different types of protein in the cheese. Now, the casein protein is what's going to start sticking together once we've added that enzyme into the milk. And so after we've added that in, what's going to end up is this is still going to be almost completely full, but there's going to be kind of floating and hovering almost like a pudding-like type of consistency in here. And that pudding-like consistency is the curds. They're still all in one big vat, but we need to cut those curds up into really small pieces. Do we have my blades here somewhere, or are they in getting washed? They might be in getting washed, but basically it's a big square full of wires, just like a guitar. And we take these big squares and we drag it through the cheese vat. And as we drag it through the cheese vat, it's going to cut those curds into these small pieces. And you can see them here. You get these little small pieces like this is what the curds are starting to look like. And now you have all of these little curds like this floating in this sea of liquid. And that other liquid is the whey protein. So now you've got the curds and whey, just like Little Miss Muffet. So you've got this curds and whey sitting here, but when we're making cheese, all we want to use is the curds. So we're going to put a screen on here so that we can let the liquids all drain off. The liquids are going to drain off down the drain, and then we're left with all these little curds sitting at the bottom. So there's about 4 inches, 6 inches of these curds sitting at the bottom, and they start to stick together a little bit. And so instead of becoming separate, they become a big block of cheese. And you can see here, once it's all settled into a big mat, we cut it into squares, and we start what's called the cheddaring process. So we take the squares of cheese, and we pick them up, and we flip them over like this. And the pressure, the weight of the cheese piled on top of itself is going to squeeze out the last of the liquid. You can see some liquid still coming right there. So that cheddaring process is what's going to get these curds to be nice and firm. And we do this for about an hour, flipping them over and flipping them over and flipping them over and washing out the last of the liquid until the pH falls to about 5.1. So I've got my pH meter here. And so we can even see if it's working for me if I stick that in there. So right now you can see the pH is at about 5.13. So Laura, our cheese master here, Laura, is 5.13 getting close enough to the cheddaring to the end of the process?
Yeah, we'll do one more flip and start milling.
Very, very good, very good. And Susan is helping with the cheese making today as well. Hi, Susan. And so the last thing that we're going to do after we've done this cheddaring process, you can see Laura and Susan are doing the last flip of the cheddaring process, is that we're then going to cut these rubbery blocks of cheese. You've got these great rubbery blocks of cheese, and these are going to get cut into the final cheese curds. So we're going to put it through a machine called a cheese mill that has blades. We put this through, and it's going to cut the cheese curds into pieces about the size of my thumb. And those final cheese curds about the size of my thumb, this whole thing is going to be filled with those cheese curds. You pour the salt on and start stirring it and stirring it and stirring it. And the salt is going to give it a huge amount of flavor. Cheese curds are always salty, a great amount of flavor. It also draws out the last of the liquid out of those cheeses. And that's it. That's how you make fresh cheese curds. The last thing we're going to do is then take those cheese curds with the salt, put it into packages, and it's done. So from raw milk right from the cow at 2:45 in the morning to a finished product that's sitting on the shelf, the whole thing is going to take about 8 to 10 hours before by the time we're all done. So it's a relatively fast process to make that cheese. Now today we're doing a couple special flavors. We're doing an Indian spice garam masala flavored cheese curd, and we're also doing, I believe, a garlic and chives? Dill pickle. Today's dill pickle, so it's a great day for cheese curds. So we're doing dill pickle today as well. So kind of right from milking the cows to the final product, that's how the cheese curd process is working. So at this point, I'd love to take any questions that you guys might have about the dairy farm, about the family, about the cheese making, other products that we make. Whatever's interested you, this would be a great time to talk.
We've got a bunch of questions that have come in.
Super.
So we'll start with, what's the difference between orange and white curds?
That's a great question. And the only difference between orange cheese curds and white cheese curds is in orange cheese curds, they're adding a natural food colorant. I bet Laura knows the name of that natural food colorant. Oh, it's just kidding. Flavor-wise, real cheesemakers don't use it. There's no difference in the final product. It is just a natural food colorant that has been used historically for a long, long time to turn cheese that orange color. But there is no flavor difference and no nutritional difference.
Why are cheese curds squeaky?
Why are cheese curds squeaky? It's the nature of the protein. So the bonds of the proteins themselves, I couldn't tell you from a mechanical or chemical standpoint what makes them squeaky, but I can tell you that they only remain squeaky for about 36 to 48 hours, that they have that nice squeak against your teeth. After that, they're still quite delicious, they're still quite flavorful, but they don't have that nice squeak on your teeth. But if you heat them up a little bit, if you take cheese curds that are maybe 2 to 3 to 4 days old and put them in the microwave for like 10 seconds, they get a lot of that squeakiness back. But that's obviously a question from someone who knows their cheese curds. That's a great question.
It's the indication of a great cheese curd.
Absolutely.
How many pounds of cheese do you make in a day?
So if I could switch it to kilograms, we're doing around 300 kilograms of cheese curds in a batch, and we do one batch a week. So anywhere from 250 to 300 kilograms of cheese curds we would be making. Now, we sell most of that primarily through our own store here. We do go to some local farmers markets as well, and we do a little bit of wholesale business in addition to that, but the vast majority of it would be customers coming out to the farm, taking tours of the farm, seeing the cows, because they're looking for that local food outlet. Oh, so if I could just jump in before the next question. So Susan and Laura are just about to start the cheese mill. So this is the process of cutting those blocks of cheese. So maybe if I can jump and grab it.
Really loud.
So you can see these are the cheese curds after they've been cut by the cheese mill. So they're nice and uniform, nice squares, uniform. This is going to be the final size. But when we add the salt to these cheese curds, they're going to start to shrivel a little bit. They're going to get a little more firm, and they're going to get a lot more flavor. So if you were to eat one of these right now, they'll have that nice sweet to it, a nice flavor, but they're going to get a lot more flavor once we add the salt to them. Next question.
There we go.
Sorry, I couldn't quite hear that. Do we have a next question?
Yep. So you guys mentioned that you have some fun flavors happening today. How many different kinds of cheese curds do you have?
We're doing, I believe it's 6 or 7 different types of cheese curds. We're doing the plain cheese curds. We do a dill pickle. We do a garam masala. We do a Ben's barbecue. We have a Jamaican jerk flavor. 5 flavors so far, but we're always looking for other ideas. So if anyone that's listening to this presentation has some great cheese curd flavor ideas, put them in the chat. I'd love to hear them.
What one's been your favorite flavor so far?
What was? Sorry, I missed that comment. Do we have another question?
Yep, we were wondering what your favorite flavor has been so far. Hey, we still got you, Ben?
We're still good. I think we might just walk out of the processing room and we'll go into the next section so we could hear a little better.
Okay, so as Ben kind of moves to out of the processing area, does anyone have some great ideas for flavors of cheese curds? You can put them in the chat and we can push them along to Summit Station. I see we've got one for hot dog flavor. Interesting. Oh, here we go. There we go. Do we have you back, Ben?
We have you back. Yeah, I heard hot dog flavor. I love it.
We've got hot dog, pizza.
Very good ones. Very good ones. What are the other ones that we've been considering? How about like a bolognese, like a spaghetti sauce flavor? Do we get any thumbs up for the spaghetti sauce flavored cheese curds?
I'd give it a try at least once.
Okay, very good. Very good. Do we have some more questions?
We've got lots more questions.
Love it.
Pull one up for you. Does all of your milk come from your own cows?
Yes. So all of the milk that we bottle here at the facility at the dairy is coming from our own cows. Now our cows are producing more milk than what we need right now. So we're less than 10% of our milk from our farm is coming over here. The rest of it is still milk marketed through the Dairy Farmers of Ontario Marketing Board, but we are exclusively using our own milk. In fact, we have a separate group of cows on the farm that produce the milk that we use. The cows that we are taking the milk from produce a milk with a slightly different type of protein called an A2 protein that some people find easier to digest. So that's the type of milk and the quality of milk that we wanted to use when we're making our own products over here. So in addition to the cheese curds, we're also making glass bottled white milk. We make chocolate milk, strawberry milk, and eggnog when it's the season.
Bacon curds.
Oh, bacon curds. I like that one. I like that one.
Yeah, we've had bacon, taco, and steak come through.
Snake? Steak. Okay, I like steak way better than snake. But we have some students from Arizona on. That's fantastic.
And how many people work at Summit Station?
So at Summit Station, we have about 12 employees, 4 full-time and 8 part-time. Because we're also doing home delivery of milk right to people's houses, we have some milk truck drivers, just like we used to do back in the 40s and 50s. So we're delivering glass bottles right to people's houses. So we have a number of drivers, as well as people working in the processing facility and people that are working in the store.
And how many cows do you have on the farm?
We're milking about 450 cows. but the total number of cows on the farm is a little under 1,000. And the reason that there's cows that we're not milking is cows have to have a calf, they have to have a baby before they start giving milk. So we have some cows that are too young to be milked because they haven't had their first calf. And then we have other cows that are going to have a baby soon, so we stop milking them 2 months before they have their next calf.
And are people able to come and take a tour of your farm?
People are welcome to come take the tour of the farm. Oh, there's my uncle walking through the farm, and there's some students right now that are coming for a tour, actually. So we do a fair number of tours through school groups, but part of the local food movement is we felt it was really, really important that people had the opportunity to see where their food comes from. So at Christmas time, we have an open house on our farm where we give out free hot chocolate, free poutine samples, and we get about 1,200 people that come for tours around Christmas time. But then every Saturday, we have a public tour where people can come to the farm and have a guided tour with one of the farmers.
I've been to your Christmas with the cows, and it's definitely, if anyone's in the Hamilton area or has some friends and family, would definitely recommend stopping in and taking a tour, especially now that they've got the creamery open.
Thank you very much. It's a great opportunity to talk with the general public, answer questions. A lot of people now, they've never been to a farm before, so it's a lot of fun for us.
And we're wondering, where does the name Summit Station come from?
Good question. So our farm is on a hill, and right beside that hill, there used to be a train track. And the train track, because where we are is on a hill, there used to be a train station right beside us that was called the Summit Station. Because it was on a hill, it was the summit, the highest point on that train line. Now that train track has now been changed into a biking trail, and the train station is long gone, but we decided to name our dairy after the train station that used to be on this site. So we called it Summit Station Dairy and Creamery, and the building itself looks like a train station, and we even recreated a train line, so there's railroad tracks outside in the parking lot to look like the original train station that used to be here probably 60 years ago now.
So it's clear that a lot of effort and ideas have gone into making the creamery, but we're wondering, why did you want to produce your own milk and cheese?
Well, there's a couple different reasons. Where our farm is, we're very, very close to the city of Hamilton. So we're in the city of Hamilton, but we're only about 10 minutes away from the downtown core of Hamilton, which has a population of about 650,000 people. So we knew that our farm was uniquely located to a very large body of people, and we thought from a business perspective, this was a great opportunity for us to expand our business, that we could now not only make the raw milk, but we could start selling it directly to the consumers. And we also thought that there's a real desire amongst people now, especially since COVID, to have more of a connection of where their food comes from. When we were all going through COVID, this was the first time that a lot of people had ever experienced food scarcity, that they would go to the grocery store and there would be things that they needed to buy that were not available. And I think it really awakened people to that. We can't take food for granted. We can't just always assume that there will be enough. We've been very, very fortunate in this country for decades and decades and decades to always be able to buy whatever we want, whenever we want. And that's a great privilege, but not something we should be taking for granted.
Wow, I couldn't have said it better myself, Ben. So we're super excited that you've come to join us for Local Food Week, and that was super fitting. We have time for a few more questions if you have time to stick around.
Absolutely.
Did you know you always wanted to be a farmer?
Oh, no, I didn't actually. So it's a funny story. When I was in high school, I told my father that if I come home to the farm, it means a whole lot of things have gone wrong in my life. And so then I went to university. I graduated with a general arts degree, university. I got a job after school working in an office close to Toronto for about 3 years. And after working in an office for 3 years, I realized maybe working on the farm wasn't quite as bad as I thought it was when I was in high school. So at that point, I came home to the farm and started working here, and that's now been about 25 years ago that I joined the family on the farm. It is a lot of hard work, but farming now is just as much about people and business as it is about land and crops and animals. And so just because you might not have a passion for animals or digging in the dirt or using machinery, there's a lot more to agriculture than that side of it. There's also the business side of it and working with some fantastic people. And that's the side of it that I get a lot of joy out of.
What would you say your favorite part about your job? And I'll probably split it. What's your favorite part about being with the cows? And what's your favorite part about being in the creamery?
My favorite part of being with the cows is, even though there's 1,000 cows, you still very much get to know some personalities of some of the cows. There is something incredibly relaxing and calming when you go through the maternity barn and it's the end of the day in the summer and the sun is setting, and so the whole barn is kind of orange and the cows are just chewing their cud and lying down on the straw pack, and it is a very, very idyllic scene, and I don't care who you are, there's something about that scene that just is very calming. And I love the maternity barn. I love walking through there at the end of the day. On the dairy side, on the Summit Station Dairy side, I also love a challenge. It's a new venture for us, so seeing our products get better as we refine our processes, seeing the success of all the people that we're working with here as they become more confident in their skills that they're learning, the reaction that we get from the public when they come in the store for the first time, when they try our cheese curds for the first time, or the chocolate milk, and their eyes just roll when they take a sip of chocolate milk. That is incredibly satisfying. So the challenge of starting a new venture is fantastic. I don't need to hit the snooze button in the morning. As soon as my alarm goes off, I'm ready to get up.
Amazing. We have time for one more question, and that one's going to be, where do you want to see Summit Station in 10 to 20 years?
10 to 20 years. Our focus has, when we first started this business, we wanted to remain local. It is not our goal to become an across Canada business, to be shipping a commodity all over the place. I'd much rather be hyper-focused on the Hamilton and the areas around Hamilton and that market. I'd love to be known as Hamilton's Milk. I'd love to be iconic in our local area, so that when people think of dairy farms and great dairy products in this area, they immediately think of our family. They think of our products that we're offering to the public, and I'd like to be a stop that everybody going on the highway comes in, sees the cows, and it knows of our location. And so I'd like to be a big fish in a small pond. We don't have dreams of being multinational or growing outside those areas, but I'd love to be well known in our local neck of the woods.
Well, that sounds like a great dream and definitely something worth pursuing. So we'd like to thank you. We'd like to thank you for such a great tour. I know that when I see cheese curds on the shelves, I can't pass them up. So it was really great to see how they're made. Ben, is there anything you want to add before we leave?
No, just if in your travels, if you have times to visit different farms, I think you'll be surprised at how much you can learn. So whether it's a dairy farm or even an apple orchard, if there's guided tours, you're going to get a tremendous amount of knowledge out of those guided tours. And we're going to work towards, what was it, Jen? We had a steak flavored
Snake.
So, I think it was steak. Bacon. There was a bacon one, which we like the ideas. All right, we'll get to work on some of those other cheese curd flavors. Thanks for the suggestions.
Okay, and thank you to everyone else who's joined us for today. and for all the other tours that we hosted this week with our friends at Agscape. And happy Local Food Week. So remember to support your local farmers and your food processors, and we will see you next time. Bye.